6 minutes after 8 o'clock, 8:06. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. In studio with us.
It's been a busy morning, man.
It's been very busy. Delegate Tony O'Donnell, good morning, sir.
Good
How
morning.
are you?
I'm fine, Heather and T-Bone. Good to be with you. I got to tell you, what a great way to start Halloween to listen to that blue light special.
Well, yeah, it was interesting.
I bet.
So you were again running once again for Delegate of Annapolis, and one of your contemporaries, if you will, John Bohannon, was here earlier. You would like to go back up to Annapolis and continue your role there. What are you hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of things I think we need to do. One is I want to use my experience to help maybe do a course correction. I'll tell you a quick story. In 1994, my side of the aisle, we didn't, of course, take over in Maryland. We didn't.
That's
take
a thin
over
side of the aisle, isn't it?
Sure, very thin.
Yeah, over one row of chairs.
Right.
But what we did do was we sent a message by electing 16. We had a net gain of 16. So we went from 25 to 41 in the House of Delegates in our caucus.
Okay.
And there's 141 members. So we're still a prohibitive minority. Yeah. But the message of that election was so strong. And Ellen Sauer-Bray came within 6,000 votes of beating Paris Glendenning that year.
I remember.
Right? We were able to, because of the results of that election and the message that was sent, enact a 10% income tax reduction. So messages are important in elections. Even if you don't change, the control, or, I don't think that's going to happen, but we can make some gains. We can send a message, and we can send a strong message. We need to change the course we're on a little bit, a bit of a course correction.
What are the things you're most proud of, Tony, when it comes to your service in the delegation for Southern Maryland and your district particularly? What are you proud of? And you say, you know what? Yeah, we did that as a district.
There are so many things that we were able to do. One of the things I've been working on for about 15 years or longer has been oyster restoration.
That's a good
thing. Program, yeah.
We passed a tax incentive to allow people to put floats at their piers, and that incentivized people to get engaged. And actually, they started an oyster cultivation society. You may have heard of it.
Yes.
And, they used that work that I did, that foundational work, to fund restoration projects in Mill Creek, and it's a wonderful thing. And now we have a nascent industry in the state that's getting ready to take off, our aquaculture industry, and we have the best resources in the world right here in this estuary, and we're going to engage the private sector. We're going to grow animals, and those animals are going to help us clean the water.
It's a win-win all around.
Win-win-win. What's not to like about it?
We had an Irishman on. What was that? A couple of weeks ago, right before the Oyster Festival, and he said our oysters are amazing.
We got the best.
We do. Yeah. They're fantastic.
The other thing that we've been able to work together is, of course, protection of Pax River. And that's a nonpartisan thing. It's across the board. I'm a Navy veteran, but it's the lifeblood of our community. It's tremendously important, and we don't play games with that.
Yeah,
it's across the board.
Your neck of the woods, you've got some. I deem it to be very exciting industry going on with Dominion and the power. That brings to topic another issue, which is jobs in Southern Maryland, and everybody agrees we need to diversify our workforce. We need to be bringing more industry into the area. People talk about light manufacturing, fantastic. It all sounds great. How do we get it done?
Right.
That's first of all, I think you need the right environment. So if we can establish an environment in Maryland doesn't feel to be hostile.
Do you think that exists?
Clearly, we've had 8,000 businesses either close or pick up and leave. We've had major corporations who have either moved. I tell the story about Bechtel Corporation, homegrown, born in Maryland, worldwide engineering firm. They're leaving. They're going to Northern Virginia.
And the reason is?
The reason is that it has a more hospitable tax policy and a more hospitable regulatory policy. And that was born and bred private company right here. And there are many of those.
Wow.
McCormick's thinking about leaving, for God's sakes.
Listen, I was shouting at the top of my lungs when Beretta decided that they were going to leave, and that
was absolutely targeted towards what they make too. That wasn't just taxes; it was legislation.
It's a concerted effort to chase business away, and I don't see an upside to that.
No, I don't either. So once you establish the kind of environment that brings jobs here, then you start recruiting. The work that's being done in Southern Maryland with autonomous vehicles and UAVs. I heard you talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
It's wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it's good
very
stuff.
supportive. I'm working with the folks, too, at St. Mary's Airport. and the folks at Arrow down there who are just private sector money going in, creating jobs, building stuff. Dominion over in Calvert County.
Right.
But, I think one of the great things that has the potential in America to bring manufacturing jobs back to this country is and for the middle class to have that type of opportunity like our parents did in many instances
Right.
is cheap energy.
Yeah,
Energy.
and we have it.
We have it.
We have it in abundance.
Sure.
But let me ask you this, Tony. Look at the things that are. I'm going to get negative. I hate to be negative,
problem.
but let
Go
me
ahead.
get negative.
She's very negative.
I'm not negative. I'm a very positive person, but it's very frustrating. And I've talked to many folks, candidates who have been in here about this. Seriously, look at the economic engines we have: PAX, Dominion, Calvert Cliffs, Indian Head, all of the Southern Maryland, all of these things that do drive an economy. And I feel as a resident and a voter that we get overlooked in Southern Maryland, whether it's transportation funding, like I always bring up the Solomon's Bridge. It's in your ad. Yes, I want a bridge too. Well, damn it, I want a bridge.
Yeah,
we
no,
have waited. We pay this gas tax. I get it. The money should be there. Why is it that they're building a purple line and they got an ICC and Montgomery and Prince George's County get everything when we are paying a fortune? We should get some of that back. Why is Southern Maryland ignored? Are you not pounding your fists enough? Because I think are you up there yelling and screaming?
Of course, and certainly fighting for the interest of Southern Maryland. But it's not just me, of course.
Right.
No, not one person does this or makes this happen. Not one person is going to build a bridge, of course.
Well, not with that attitude.
But the reality is, we have the president of the Senate who's a Southern Maryland resident. He lives in Calvert County. This is one of the most powerful men in Annapolis. I served with Louis Goldstein, one of the most powerful men in Annapolis, both from Southern Maryland. We got Steny Hoyer, my good friend, in our Congress. One of the most powerful men in the U.S. Congress and House of Representatives. So we have all these people who are very powerful. So it's not a lack of, who's there, who. Here's the reality. In Maryland, in state politics in Maryland, our policies are dominated by three major jurisdictions, and that is Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and Baltimore City.
Yeah.
And there used to be a block of rural folks who, regardless of party, Republicans or Democrats, when I first got up there, the debate was usually more about the rural versus the urban, and it was more of a balance.
Right.
Johnny Wood, my good friend Johnny Wood, I love him dearly, but I hate to see him, in a way it's the end of an era because he's one of the few of that era who were left.
Right.
Now, it's just polarized.
Right.
And you got the dominance of Montgomery, Prince George's, Baltimore City, and their enablers all heading in one direction.
So what you're saying is what we need is a coalition with Western Maryland, Southern Maryland, and maybe the Eastern Shore. I'm going to put that together. I'll make that happen. Let me ask you this, because this is a head scratcher to me. It would be one thing if our local government, let's just classify it as Annapolis. It would be one thing if Annapolis says, well, listen, we're not going to have and I'm going to go back to the economy issue and building jobs. And we're not going to have the economy of, say, a North or South Dakota where they've got all this oil and natural gas. Well, we can't do that. It's just not going to happen. But we have a state at our doorstep that is prospering economically, i.e. Virginia.
Right.
Why can we simply not put our hubris and arrogance aside for 1 second and look across the river at Annapolis at what they're doing and how they're inviting business and how business is running to them and say, maybe we should do what Virginia's doing?
Yeah, look, we have a lot of, this is a great state. We got a lot of
It
good
is a great
going.
state.
We have great educational
I
systems.
love
We have good
Maryland.
roads. We have the bay. We have the mountains. We have the oceans. We got all the natural resources. Our proximity on the eastern seaboard, our proximity to the national capital region, our healthcare system, our institutions like Johns Hopkins and Washington Hospital Center. You just go on and on.
Yeah.
and on,
Right.
But we should be kicking tail.
We should
Right.
be.
We should be kicking tail. But why we don't is because we vilify entrepreneurial spirit.
I think you're right.
We vilify making money. That's a bad thing.
Well, they're
And
evil, you know.
And the government wants to control everything. If look, we should have regulation to the extent that it serves the public interest.
Well,
but now we feel like we have regulation that just is putting their
It's-
thumb
it-
on
Right.
people.
it's crushing. And nobody is saying, look, nobody's going to stand by and let people dump, 55-gallon drums of toxic waste.
Oysters can't filter that much,
Right.
can they?
No,
Of
look,
course
we all
not.
want a clean environment. We're not talking about that. We're talking about little stuff like your pier's 6 inches too long. We're going to make you rip it out and do $30,000 worth of work. Right?
I could
We can
go on
speak to
forever.
that. We could speak to that.
All right.
yes.
Well, let's talk about your campaign specifically, what you hope to accomplish if you win.
So there are several things I want to work on. We have one is Lily's Law and reforms in that area.
What is it?
Lily's Law is a law that was brought to me by Ben and Kathleen Smith from Leonardtown. And their
Right.
baby girl, Lily, has a rare disorder called Krabbe leukodystrophy.
It's a horrible disease.
It really is, and it's heartbreaking. But I have to tell you, there's hope. There's
Yeah.
great research going
Baby
on at
Lily.
Pitt, University of Pittsburgh Hospital, at Duke, and we can, if we test for this before the onset of symptoms, we can help these little babies. Now,
Absolutely.
we had a bill this year. You hear me talk about raiding pots of money. Here's how this all ties together and fits. There's a newborn infant screening program that would test for this if we could get that added to their testing regimen. They test for 53 diseases when a baby's born. They charge every live birth in this state $100. The state does. Every live birth in this state is $100, so it's $6.3 million. But they only spend about $2.7 million to administer the program, and they raid the other $4 million to spend on other things.
Oh, well, let's put that.
Well, who's
$4
voting
billion in-
against this?
Well, nobody's voting against it, but we put in a
I'll
bill.
fight him right now.
We put in a bill. It was bipartisan. I worked with the chairman of the Health and Government Operations Committee from Baltimore City. We got it through the House. It was a late file bill to say these funds are going to be dedicated, much like a lockbox
Yes,
provision.
we
Right,
need a lot
right.
of that going on.
Right.
It goes over to the Senate, and on the final day, our good state senator from St. Mary's County special ordered that bill. Now, a special order is a parliamentary delay. It delays the bill until consideration later in the day. And in Annapolis, on Sine Die, the last day of session, if a bill doesn't make it through
Right.
the whole way through,
Right.
it dies.
It dies.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so you're going to reintroduce that.
I'm going to reintroduce it.
Okay.
I'd like to get there. I'd like to get it done.
Because
I'd like to
the-
reintroduce it and help little people,
What's
people
the-
like little Lily.
Right, baby Lily. What's the scuttlebutt about why it was put on like a standby or a hold,
Yeah.
like a wait? What's the talk about that? Why that happened?
I mean, I went over to the Senate floor.
I bet you
begged the Senate president. I begged the senator who was playing games with it. Here's how cynical it can get sometimes in Annapolis. It gets special ordered at 11 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, 11 in the morning, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and 11 o'clock again. And it comes up at 11:58, 2 minutes before midnight, and is voted on unanimously in the state Senate. And it dies to give the appearance that they passed it when they
why-
actually killed it.
How do you stand it? How do you stand it, Tony?
Well,
I mean,
look, I'm willing to keep fighting. Here's why I say this. It's a great state. We got to change some things. We got to get some things right. I'm willing to continue to fight. I need some help.
Yeah.
I need some support. I'm asking people to help send me some troops up there, and we can continue to fight for the right things. Veterans benefits. I want to continue to fight for that.
how messed up is that in Baltimore? Seriously, you're a veteran.
Let's start counting the ways. But I'll give you an example close to home. Bring it right close to home.
Do it.
St. Mary's County veteran recently determined that he had 100% disability, service-related disability.
Okay.
We have a scholarship program for the children of
Good.
disabled veterans in
Great.
the state called the Edward T. Conroy Scholarship Program.
Okay.
It's a wonderful program.
Fantastic.
This family's stepchild, who, when they fill out their FAFSA and they apply for financial aid, or when they apply for college, they have to count the stepfather, the veteran's
Okay, right.
income
Okay,
on that FAFSA.
right.
But they were told by the state of Maryland,
Since
your
it's a stepchild,
stepchild, you don't qualify.
Shut your mouth.
so
hold on a
offensive
second.
to veterans.
Hold
So
on a
offensive.
second. Let me see if I understand this.
It's not his
So,
child.
Hold on.
It's
hold
the
on.
wife's
hold
child.
on. Hold on. Are you telling me in the very same state where we have the DREAM Act, where people are coming across this border illegally, they're getting college tuition, but this kid whose father or stepfather
didn't
is a
qualify
veteran
for
doesn't-
veterans related
Do
scholarship.
you ever stand up in Annapolis and go, "You're all going to hell"?
All the time.
You're all going to hell.
I say it privately, in a not so nice way, and I say it publicly in a more subtle way. But yes, all the time.
What can you do to fix the veteran? Because we went to like a little town hall meeting one day, and that was a lot of veterans were there, and they were talking about how they had to travel to Baltimore. Baltimore was where, now I don't know if it's changed, but Baltimore is where Southern Maryland veterans go. Now I know Charlotte Hall, they're doing something at Charlotte Hall, but I don't know the spans of it. But most of the veterans I had spoken with and heard speak say you go to Baltimore and you sit and you wait.
There are a lot of issues. Some people go to Washington. Some people go to Baltimore. We got transportation issues. I served on the Tri-County Council for Southern Maryland's Veterans Advisory Commission committee for 4 years, and we were instrumental in pushing the CBOC, the community-based outpatient clinic at Charlotte Hall forward. I got to give credit where credit's due. Stenny Hoyer did some of that work. We did some of it.
How big?
But it's important. But we got a lot of stuff to get for our veterans here,
How
too.
many veterans are served in Charlotte Hall? Do you know? Am I putting you under the bus
Yeah,
there?
well, it's okay. I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you this. When I have a retired Navy Master Chief come to me and say, I sent a disability in, and it's taken me 12 or 13 months to even get acknowledged by the VA just to say it's there.
Just a letter.
Give me a break.
This whole thing is shameful, and it really is disgusting. And I don't know, I could go on for hours about this, but someday I'm gonna hire somebody to sit down and do the math. I can assure you, we've spent more money aiding our enemies than we have our veterans, and it is shameful and it's disgusting.
Transportation, by the way, if I can go back to that just a second.
Go ahead.
Look, so we shifted all of this gas tax. First of all, I got hit the other day in a mailer that said O'Donnell voted against the bridge. He didn't vote against the bridge. I didn't vote against the bridge. I voted against the gas tax.
I gotcha.
We got the gas tax anyway. We still don't have the money for the bridge.
Yeah, apparently never
Not
will.
yet.
Right,
Not yet. I believe it's coming.
So here's what I told the Deputy Secretary of Transportation from MDOT the other day when he was in Leonardtown.
Yeah.
I have a plan for you. Here's your plan. You want to build the two biggest capital projects in the state of Maryland going forward with that gas tax money are the Red Line and Purple Line. It will cost $5 billion plus to construct them. Okay, one's in the Washington capital regions, the
Of course.
Purple Line, one's in Baltimore City's the Red
Sure.
Line. I said,
exactly what we talked about earlier.
let's go back to balance. Build a major road project like the Thomas Johnson Bridge and one of those mass transit projects and delay the other. I suggested delay the Red Line.
Delay the Red Line.
Delay the Red Line. We can build a bridge and still have change.
And what did he say?
He said, well...
Shut up, stupid.
You know, that's...
You're making sense. Shut up. That's why.
So, anyway.
Well, listen, Tony, thank you for coming in. Good luck to you in your campaign.
And before you head out, is there anything that you want the voters to know before November 4th?
Yeah, I've had the great honor of representing the citizens of this area. I take this job very seriously. I work pretty darn hard at it, and we got a lot of work to do. And I'd be honored if they would send me back. I think we need a balanced system, not a monopoly system, and I like to provide that role, and I fight real hard for our citizens. So.
His name is Tony O'Donnell. He would like to be a delegate in Annapolis. He is currently, and he would like to resume that job. So if you like what you hear, remember his name when you go to vote. It's 8:25. Let's get a check of traffic, see what's going on the roads.